Here we are. We have made it to our last mini session of our introduction for conscious discipline. I am Heather, and I'm excited you're here so we can talk about connection. So we know that conscious discipline is research-based, it's trauma-informed, it's social emotional learning. It's so important. So we'll get started with our Brain Smart Start by disengaging our stress response. The pretzel is a great breath to do with younger children. It's a great one for us to do too, because we connect and cross our right and left sides, which wakes up our right and left brain, right? That's really important. So an easy way to do the pretzel is to put your right hand on your left shoulder and your left hand on your right shoulder, cross at your ankles, put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, close your eyes, take a big deep breath in through your nose, fill your belly, push out. And then take a slow breath out. Do that again. Breathe in deep through your nose. Let that exhale last even longer through your mouth. Do that one more time. Breathe in. And a slow breath out. Feel the shoulders relax and your face soften a bit. Right? This is a safe space. It's always safe after these sessions to contact me with any questions. There is no judgment here. I recognize, and I hope you are starting to recognize, that we're always doing the best that we can. It's only when we learn better that we can do better. So we observe our past without judgment, right? We learn new stuff. We start to look back on the way we've handled situations, and it feels bad. But we just recognize that we were always doing the best that we can. And we always have the opportunity to do something different. So let's get some joy juice. We find some eye contact. Hopefully you can do it with a real person, even a pet. Get some eye contact. This eye contact is such an important part of connection because it releases feel-good chemicals. That's why it's called joy juice, right? So make some eye contact, take a breath or two, and we'll move on. So what we know is that children and adults are stressed, right? None of us are immune to stress. Our most important role is of a safekeeper. We are a safekeeper of the children that are around us, also the adults that we care for or care about. And that includes, if you're a supervisor of any kind, your employees are someone you are tasked with caring for. So you are their safekeeper too. Research shows that we can only learn and perform how we're expected to perform when we are physically and emotionally safe, when we feel physically and emotionally safe, right? So it's important to remember we can't make that decision for somebody else. We just need to do our best to let them feel that. We use the brain state model. That's what we've been learning about in these last sessions. So we learn more about the internal brain and body states. And then we take all of this knowledge and skills so we can recognize where they're at and figure out what to do. We did our Brain Smart Start. We need that in order to learn in these next few minutes. So we did that. We're here together for the same purpose. We took some breaths together to disengage stress. We made some eye contact for some joy juice, and I've committed to keep it safe. If you're ready to make a commitment, if you're willing, you can say, I commit to doing my best to have an open mind so that I can learn something new. In survival or an emotional state, our children, the people around us are asking, am I loved? Am I safe? And when we are in our survival or emotional state, we do not have the tools to answer that question with a yes, you are safe, and yes, you are loved. It is only in our executive state that we can say, I've got this, I'm here for you, you've got this, I'm your safekeeper, we can figure this out. When we're in our executive state, we can download calm, we can offer solutions instead of lecturing, we can comfort them and ensure their safety, we can stay quiet and breathe. When we're in this state, we've got something to offer somebody else. When we're in our emotional state, think of how difficult it is not to lecture, how difficult it is to just stay quiet, right? That's really hard. And when they're in their executive state, then they can learn and they can problem solve and they can listen to what we have to say. Because we can't help them if we're not in the higher centers of our brain. A child cannot be in a higher state than their caregiver. And it's not easy to do that as an adult either. Think about a time when your coworker, when your supervisor, when your child, when your partner has been in an emotional or survival state. It's really hard to stay calm and stay up when someone else's energy is below yours. So how do we do it? We remember our powers of perception and of love. Nobody can make me angry without my permission. That is a hard pill to swallow on a daily basis, right? We need to remember that we are in control and in charge of ourselves. So when we allow somebody else to make us angry, we are giving them our power and we are saying, you are in charge of me. And most of us wouldn't actually find that to be true, right? So we remember, nobody can make me angry without my permission. And then we choose to see the best in others. If you're going to write a story about somebody else's behavior, you might as well write a good one, right? We keep calm ourselves and model the behavior that we want the other person to possess, right? Downloading our calm, we notice what's happening around us. We use our skills. Most importantly, sometimes is Q-tip. Quit taking it personally, right? Remembering this behavior is happening in front of me. It's not happening to me. And man, when it is your own child, that's especially hard to remember because we put a lot of time and love and effort into caring for our children, and it feels really personal when they get crazy on us, right? So how we handle these situations when our children are upset, how we handle those situations becomes a blueprint for all of their relationships and how they manage stress for the rest of their lives. They are watching how their caregivers interact with them and with each other. They record it. It becomes a part of their own internal personal CD-ROM about what to do when things go bad. And think about so many of us learning this information right now it's so shocking and so new to us, and we are grown-ups. It's because we didn't learn it when we were younger. And that's okay because our parents and caregivers were doing the best that they can, but now we're getting some tools for our children to do better. The power of perception and love gives us access to the higher centers of our brain, right? We get ourselves to the executive state so that they can hear us. And we remember, this is tough, unwanted behaviors are connection-seeking behaviors. Everybody wants love and acceptance. So when we start looking at behaviors as attention-seeking, our solution then becomes to ignore it. And if your child's big behavior is connection-seeking, if what they're asking is, am I loved? Am I safe? And our reaction is to ignore it, we are abandoning them and saying, no, you're not, right? And certainly that isn't our intention. That's not what we want them to feel. So it's important for us to remember that it's connection-seeking behaviors. Without a doubt. Anytime my child's behavior changes, he's almost 8, when things get crazy and I start feeling like he's not listening to me, he's speaking to me in ways that I really don't like, that are triggers for me, it is always because we are feeling a little disconnected. And if I put a little time and a little effort into getting more connected with him, his behavior changes always. On the flip side, if I get a little out of control and get in my emotional state and start lecturing or raising my voice, he completely shuts down, right? Nothing gets solved. Nobody learns anything and nobody feels better. So connection is more than just being together. Our recipe for connection is eye contact, right? We want that joy juice. Put some touch in there. Put some presence. Don't look at the clock. Put your phone away and be playful. playful situation, right? Because heart-to-heart talks are good. They might have presence and touch and eye contact, but a heart-to-heart serious conversation is not the same kind of connection as doing something silly and playful. So let's check out this video real quick. It's worth the time, I promise. Oh, forgive me. It took many times of me watching that video before I could watch it without crying, right? Connection is powerful. And it's powerful for every relationship that we have. So, eye contact, right? There's a wireless connection that's created in our brain. It literally downloads interstates to one another. So the eyes contain nerve projections that lead directly to key brain structures for empathy and matching emotions, right? So as soon as there's eye contact, you've got it. When your child is upset and you're trying to connect, the moment you have eye contact, you've got it. That's when you download your calm. Being present in the moment means your mind and your body are in the same place, right? Touch, it's so important. It's the only sense that we can't live without. Being playful in the context of the situation. Playfulness helps build bonds and creates a biochemistry in the brain for dopamine. Dopamine says, pay attention, stay focused. So if you've got kids at home that you want to focus on cleaning up, playful situation, connection. If you have an elementary school child who is doing, or a high school child who's doing at-home learning, or if you've got kids in the classroom and you need things to calm down and for them to come back together, it's connection. It's being playful in the context of the situation. Connection equals cooperation. The motivation to behave comes from being in a relationship. So think about that. Read it again. Connection equals cooperation. The motivation to behave comes from being in a relationship. Even as a grown-up, we think about the relationships. Think about a relationship that you had with a partner that you didn't like anymore, or a boss that was just awful. Your motivation to behave, to be well and do great things for each other comes from being in a relationship. Short, powerful moments of connection foster willingness and cooperation. It reduces impulse control issues. Think about that with your little ones or even older children who haven't gained a lot of impulse control yet. Powerful moments of connection reduce impulse control issues. That eye contact, those moments of releasing dopamine and oxytocin and endorphins are like little drops of medicine for them, right? Little drops of Ritalin. So if you're working on impulse control, if you've got children that are having a hard time staying in their seats learning, and they're old enough, because we know little kids can't stay in their seats, so it's not a realistic expectation that they should, but once they're in elementary school, it doesn't matter if they're ready to sit in their seat or not. The expectation is that they sit in their seat. So those impulse control issues, it is moments of connection that foster the willingness and cooperation. It gives them a little bit of chemical release to help them focus, right? So when there is a fire in our classroom, in our home, right? Because there are little fires everywhere when we're working with children. We recognize the brain state that they're in. We check in quickly. Are they in survival state? Are they in emotional state and yelling at me? Or are they in their executive state? Right? Probably if they're in their executive state, we just can move on because they can hear us and listen to reason. But when we recognize the brain state that they're in, then we move on. We meet them where they're at. We use our powers of perception, our powers of love. We remember this is not happening to me. It's happening in front of me. I am their safe place. I make a decision. I've got two buckets, a bucket of water and a bucket of gasoline. So when that fire is happening in front of me with my 3-year-old, with my 2-year-old, with my 12-year-old, with my 22-year-old, with my stressed out coworker, what am I going to carry to the fire? A bucket of water or a bucket of gasoline? because I can take that bucket of water with me if I am taking breaths and remembering that this is not about me, right? I can take the water. I can use connection. I can download my Calm. I can make some eye contact, some touch, some presence. I can connect so that my brain, their brain, can come into that higher brain state and they can figure out what to do, right? Then we can talk about what to do next time. Then we can move on. So right now, child is screaming, right? We are lecturing. We are trying to get them to listen. They are sad. They are saying, am I loved? Am I safe? Right? If we're yelling, if we're doing the same thing, maybe we get them to calm down because we scare them, but we didn't fix the problem. It's going to happen over and over again. When we yell, when we are out of control, we are carrying gasoline to the fire. With the new way, the fire is our child is screaming, covering their ears. We know, we look at them. They are not making eye contact. They are not speaking. They are yelling. So we know they're in their lower brain state. They're saying, am I safe? So I say to myself, I'm safe. I'll take a few breaths. I can handle this. He needs my help. I pick him up. I download my Calm. Once he's calm, I connect. And maybe I do it with a connection ritual, like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Then he's calm and we move on. And I can say, you wanted my attention. Next time, come to me and say, Mom, I need help. The slow is this last part, right? So the fast is we do something right now to get them to stop crying, right? We download our Calm, we connect with them, we move on. The slow is every time that happens, we say, you wanted my attention. Next time, come to me and say, Mom, I need help. And we do that over and over again. And eventually, the screaming part doesn't need to happen. They're just going to come and say, Mom, I need help. Because connection equals cooperation, right? The motivation to behave comes from being in a relationship. Connection is not just for during upset, and it's not just for after upset, right? So we start with connection. That brings them to their executive state. That leaves them willing to do what we want. That leads to more connection, which leads to their executive state, which leads to willingness. So it's a process we do when they're upset, but it's so important for us to remember that the more opportunities we take to connect all day long, they stay in their executive state. We don't have to wait until they get upset to make the connection, to get them to their executive state so that they are willing. We make these little moments of connection all day long to keep them in their executive state and keep them willing. And by the way, every time you take the step to do a connecting ritual so they stay in their executive state, it's going to help you stay in yours also. So how do we do it? With infants and toddlers, we do finger plays like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. We pick them up, we make eye contact, we play. We take advantage of diaper changing times because in care and at home, that happens several times a day, right? So instead of rushing through it because we don't like it or telling them how much they smell, take the moment to do a little talking, a little eye contact, a little playfulness. Take those moments with your infants and toddlers. And this Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star one, it's really magical, is really the best way to describe the first time you do this version of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star with a child, because most children know the nursery rhyme. And when you say, what a wonderful child you are, their eyes will light up because they can't believe that now you're talking just about them, right? It's really amazing. For older kids, You can still do this twinkle twinkle, right? We talk a lot about it, and a lot of videos, if you look it up, will be with infants and toddlers. But man, do it with your kids. It says 3 to 7, but I promise you, if you can get your child that's even older to do this, they will love it. They might not want to do it in front of their friends, but they will love doing it with you. You can do high fives. You can do clapping games that you can find on the internet. Um, you can do the high five, give me five, up high, down low, right? There's touch, there's presence, there's playfulness. Just make sure you make some eye contact. And with older kids, the hand clap games, um, do a TikTok, make a secret family handshake, do a dance party, exercise together. Just add eye contact to any of these situations, and you've got connection. You use connection all day long to stay higher up. You use it to come back together after conflict. You use it anytime to strengthen your relationships and create willingness. Use it to come together before a request. Remember what I said about children who struggle with cleaning up or struggle with sitting or struggle with transitions. Use the connection ritual before you ask them to do it, because connection creates willingness. Use connection to give them what they're missing. If you have a child who has a hard time connecting with other children, you need to give them the connection. Give it to them and then teach them to give it to others. So that's it for connection. The next time we're together, we will start talking about all of our powers, and we're going to talk about composure, being the person you want others to become. And until that time, I am wishing you well.